There is a road stretching ahead of you that many will admire but few will understand. A path uniquely etched by the hands of destiny, forged with your fire, pain, triumph, and calling. And though you may try to bring everyone with you, your friends, your family, those who laughed with you in seasons of plenty and wept beside you in the wilderness, not everyone can walk beside you when the stars begin to shift in your favor. That is a truth too bitter for some to swallow, too bold for others to utter, but necessary for those chosen for some. In this life, there are seasons of companionship and seasons of consecration. Seasons when your circle is wide, voices are many, and laughter echoes like music through your days. But when your purpose begins to call you by name, when the whisper of greatness begins to stir beneath your ribs, something strange happens. The crowd begins to thin. Conversations grow quiet. The very ones who once held your hand may now fail to grasp your vision. Do not be dismayed by the silence. Do not shrink under the weight of their misunderstanding. You are not being abandoned. You are being aligned. For there is something sacred about elevation. It does not occur in crowds. Mountaintops are not populated. They are lonely, silent, and windswept. And to rise, you must shed. You must release the unnecessary. Like a hot air balloon cannot ascend until the sandbags are thrown overboard, your spirit cannot soar under the weight of what no longer belongs. Some people, though they meant you well, are not assigned to your future. They were chapters, not the ending. Lessons, not lifelines. You cannot take everyone with you, not because you do not love them, but because your destiny demands room to breathe. There will be people who love the old you, the version of you who doubted yourself, who stayed quiet, who played small to make others comfortable. And when you begin to rise, to roar, to reclaim your voice, they will grow uncomfortable. They will call it pride. They will name it change. But don't you know? You were not born to remain who you were. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to chase dreams that shake the ground beneath your feet and demand the sky to make space for your wings. Not everyone can go where you're going. Some are too tethered to the past, too afraid of light, too committed to what is safe even if it kills their spirit. And while your heart may ache to drag them with you, to pull them into the dawn you've waited so long to see, you must understand that carrying others uphill can cost you the climb. There is a time for waiting, and there is a time for walking. There will be people who want your presence, but not your growth. They crave your laughter, but not your leadership. They celebrate your comfort, but sabotage your calling. Pay attention. When your life begins to bloom, some will try to pluck your petals under the guise of familiarity. They will remind you of who you were, forgetting that you are no longer bound to that version of yourself. You have grown through storms they never saw. You have cried in silence while they slept in peace. You have bled in places no one knew you were wounded. And now that your healing has begun to shine, they want to dim it, because your growth threatens their stillness. But you must go. You must rise. You must choose the narrow path over the crowded room, the whisper of your soul over the noise of their opinions. Your journey is not a group project. It is a divine assignment, and while love honors others, it also honors self. Refuse to dim your flame for fear that others might complain of the heat. Refuse to sit in the shadows just to comfort those afraid of light. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to stand apart. And standing apart requires strength. It requires silence. It requires stillness in the face of rejection and resilience in the face of loneliness. Because make no mistake, there will be days you wonder if it's worth it. Days your feet blister from the climb, your heart aches from the solitude, and you question whether the view is worth the valley. But let me remind you of this. The higher you go, the clearer the vision, the cleaner the air, the brighter the sky. There's revelation in the rise. And though the crowd may shrink, your clarity will sharpen. Growth demands departure. Sometimes you must walk away, not because they were wrong, but because they are no longer right for your becoming. It is not betrayal to protect your peace. It is not cruelty to choose your calling. You are not responsible for shrinking so others feel tall. You are responsible for fulfilling your purpose, even if that means walking alone for a while. Your future will not be found in the rearview mirror. So stop turning around. Stop explaining your calling to those not assigned to it. Stop begging those who refuse to see you to recognize your. Not everyone can go where you're going. Some will mock the path. Some will question the direction. Some will watch from the shadows waiting to see you fail. Let them watch. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Your rise is not contingent on their applause. Your assignment is not weakened by their absence. You are being led by something deeper than acceptance. You are being pulled by something stronger than familiarity. You are being called by something holier than popularity. This is the season where your yes to destiny will sound like a no to comfort, a no to the old cycles, a no to the old relationships, a no to what was easy but empty. You will feel it in your bones, the divine discomfort that signals transformation, the inner stretching that precedes the outer soaring. And yes, it will be uncomfortable, but it will be worth it. Because every step forward is a step into the promise that has waited for you while you wrestled with death. There is something sacred about those who keep walking, about those who choose purpose over popularity, faith over fear, vision over validation. You are one of those people. You may not feel ready, you may not feel strong, but you are chosen. And the choosing is not based on perfection, it's based on purpose. It's based on the fire within you that refuses to die, even when buried under disappointment, even when drenched in delay, even when ignored, forgotten, or underestimated. You are not here by accident. Every tear, every loss, every betrayal carved out the vessel that now holds your greatness. Every time you were overlooked, heaven was preparing a place no man could block. Every no was divine protection. Every delay was divine alignment. Every lonely night was building the strength required to walk alone. Because where you're going, you must be whole, you must be wise, you must be. You do not owe your future to those who only understood your past. And you do not have to feel guilty for leaving behind what you've outgrown. Your spirit knows what it needs. Trust it, honor it, protect it. The ones who are meant to rise with you will recognize the wind when it comes. They will feel the same pull. They will speak the same language of purpose and passion. You will not have to drag them. You will not have to convince them. They will run with you. And when you find those souls, treasure them. But until then, do not fear the journey alone. Because in the alone, you become. In the silence, you hear. In the stillness, you transform. And once transformed, the world will no longer recognize you. And that's okay. You are not here to be recognizable. You are here to be remarkable. You are here to leave fingerprints on the sky, to plant seeds in dry soil, to carry water to the thirsty, to build what others only dreamed of. And for that, you must rise. So let them go if they must go. Bless them, release them, and keep walking, not with bitterness, but with understanding, not with anger, but with grace. Because not everyone can go where you're going. And that, beloved, is not a tragedy. It is a truth, a sacred truth that will set you free if you let it. Go now, go boldly, go fearlessly, go unapologetically. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are becoming, you are ready, you are rising. And the mountaintop is waiting, not for all, but for you. And as you rise, you will start to see the truth of what you've survived. The pain that once threatened to destroy you becomes the very proof that you were always meant to overcome. You'll glance back not with regret, but with reverence. You'll realize that what broke others became your bridge, that what was meant to bury you only prepared the soil for your blooming. And when that moment comes, when you stand on the edge of your new beginning, you'll understand why the pruning had to happen, why the separation was necessary, why you had to walk alone. The loneliness was not punishment, it was preparation. Every sleepless night, every unanswered call, every door that slammed shut was training your spirit to trust in something higher, to build endurance, to learn the language of self-worth. Because where you are going, you cannot afford to beg for permission to be powerful. You cannot afford to second-guess your own brilliance. You cannot afford to dim your light for those still afraid of their. You will find, along this sacred road, that people are not always ready for the version of you that God is forming. They were fine when you were unsure, when you leaned on them for every decision, when you questioned yourself enough to follow their path instead of carving your own. But now, your confidence convicts them. Your clarity exposes their confusion. Your courage reveals their complacency. And instead of celebrating your wings, they will question why you ever wanted to fly. But fly you must. There is no going back once you've tasted the possibility of more. Once the wind of destiny has touched your face, the comfort of mediocrity will suffocate you. You will try to return to the old spaces, but they will no longer fit. The people will seem the same, but your soul will be screaming for air. That is not something to fear. It's a sign you are growing. You are stretching. You are expanding beyond the borders of your former life, and it will hurt. Don't let the poets lie to you. Growth is not always beautiful. Sometimes it's brutal. Sometimes it feels like everything you thought you knew is unraveling, like every step forward costs you a piece of the familiar. But beneath the discomfort, there is something deeper taking root: freedom. And freedom is never given without sacrifice. It requires the willingness to leave the crowd behind, to disappoint those who only love the version of you they could control. You are not here to fit in. You are here to be a presence that shifts rooms, changes atmospheres, and births new beginnings. You were never meant to walk in circles. You were meant to walk in power. But power has a price, and part of that price is letting go of what is no longer aligned with your elevation. People, habits, patterns, places. When you're truly rising, all of them must be reevaluated, not through the lens of loyalty, but through the lens of destiny. There will be people who helped you survive but cannot help you thrive. People who gave you comfort in the storm but cannot build with you in the sun. People who knew how to love your brokenness but not your brilliance. And when that time comes, when the old voices no longer soothe, when the old spaces no longer satisfy, you must be brave enough to release with grace, release without bitterness. Because letting go does not mean you failed. It means you trusted the call on your life enough to stop settling for less. It means you are finally ready to walk in fullness. And fullness, dear soul, is never found by looking. Do not be fooled by the noise. Many will say they support you, but their actions will whisper another story. They will clap for your progress publicly, but mock your vision in private. Some will smile in your face, but sabotage your steps. Watch their patterns. Watch who claps when you win without needing anything from them. Watch who prays for your peace when they're not included in your plans. That's how you'll know who's aligned and who's attacked. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to stay with you. Even the most beautiful journeys must release some passengers along the way. Your story is too sacred to be weighed down by people who do not see your worth. Let them walk away. Let them misunderstand you. Let them gossip. Let them assume. Their opinion is not your truth. Their silence is not your weakness. Their distance is not your loss. If they were necessary for your future, they wouldn't be falling away in your prayer. And I know it hurts. There is no easy way to lose what you once held dear. No easy way to outgrow someone who once felt like home. But you must remember, just because something feels good doesn't mean it's good for your growth. Sometimes the hardest thing you will ever do is choose yourself, choose your calling, choose your future over your familiar. But hear me when I say this, the peace that follows will be worth every tear. The peace of walking in alignment, of no longer shrinking, of no longer explaining, of no longer pretending. The peace of waking up each morning knowing you are exactly where you're meant to be. That is a peace that no person, no position, no praise can give you. That kind of peace is born when you finally trust that the path you're on, though lonely, though uphill, is holy. And the higher you go, the more you will see. You will see how the pain was preparing you, how the rejections were redirections, how the silence was sacred, how the waiting wasn't wasted. It was weaving strength into your bones. Your hindsight will become your testimony. Your story will be your sword, and every scar will become a symbol of survival. You will stop mourning what you lost and start marveling at what you gained. You will stop wishing for their approval and start walking in your own authority, and you will begin to realize that the people who couldn't come with you were never meant to be there when you reach the promise. Not because they were evil, not because you are better, but because the oil on your life requires a certain level of purity, clarity, and solitude. This next chapter is too sacred for compromise, too significant for distractions, too holy for half-hearted connections. You are not just moving forward, you are ascending. You are not just changing, you are transforming. And transformation is not for the timid, it is for the trailblazers. The ones who dare to listen when the world says stay silent. The ones who dare to leave when the world says settle. The ones who dare to build, to dream, to declare, even when no one else understands. So if you've been feeling like your circle is shrinking, your soul is stirring, and your steps are shifting, take heart. You are not breaking down, you are breaking through. What you're losing is not your life falling apart. It's the weight being lifted, the fog clearing, the path revealing, the preparation becoming purpose. Not everyone can go where you're going, and that's the sign you're on the right road. This is your becoming. This is your birthright. This is your moment to stop apologizing for the call on your life and start walking like the path was paved just for you, because it was. And when you look back months or years from now, you'll see that every no was a gift. Every goodbye was a blessing. Every tear was watering the garden of your destiny. And you will thank God for the separation, for the silence, for the solitude, because without them, you would have never risen, and rise you must. For the world needs your voice, your gift, your light, your story. Someone is waiting to be healed by your testimony. Someone is waiting to be inspired by your persistence. Someone is waiting to be awakened by your boldness. You are the evidence that survival is possible, that transformation is real, that purpose is powerful. But you can't offer that gift to the world if you stay where you're no longer meant to be. You must go where you are called, not where you are comfortable. You must pursue peace, not popularity. You must walk forward, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Your future is waiting. Your impact is waiting. Your legacy is waiting. So rise, walk, move, create, declare. Let the past be the past. Let those who stayed behind remain in love and peace. You have work to do. You have light to carry. You have mountains to climb and stars to touch. You have generations to change, and you will, because you understand now not everyone can go where you're going. And that's exactly why you must go. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the noise becomes unbearable, when the opinions of others cloud the voice within, and when the mirror no longer reflects the truth of who you are becoming. That is the divine discomfort. That's the birthing pain of elevation. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't explain itself. It just begins shifting you internally while the world around you stays the same. You begin to walk in rooms that once felt warm, and now they feel cold. You sit among people who once knew your every detail, but now they no longer recognize your spirit. And you wonder if something is wrong with you. But it is not you, it is you. You are no longer who you were, and that is not betrayal. It is transformation. The butterfly is not being disloyal to the caterpillar. It is simply obeying the command of its DNA. So why do you feel guilt for obeying your growth? Why do you apologize for becoming? Why do you hide your wings to keep company with those who only ever loved your crawling? Let it be known, you were never meant to shrink. You were not designed to play small so others feel tall. You were crafted for the climb, made for the mountain, molded by moments that would have made others quit. But you're still here, wounded perhaps, but wiser. Shaken, yes, but stronger. And as you step into your new season, the decision is no longer about who loves you. It is about who aligns with the direction you are. The hardest part of this journey is not the climb, it's the letting go. Letting go of hands you once held tightly. Letting go of titles you once wore proudly. Letting go of roles you once played to feel worthy, but what once comforted you may now be caging you. And you can't carry cages into your calling. You can't bring chains into your change. You can't drag what was into what is becoming. You must leave some things behind, not because they were evil, but because they're expired. Even good things can be wrong in the next season. Even loved ones can become lessons. Even safe places can become stagnant. You must be brave enough to release the good to make room for the great. You must be bold enough to let go of the known to embrace the new. The unknown is not your enemy. It is your invitation. An invitation to trust, to walk on waters, to leap, not because you see the net, but because you trust the wings God has been unfolding behind your back. And yes, you will be misunderstood. Growth often comes wearing the cloak of rebellion. People will say you've changed, and they'll mean it as an insult. Let them. You have changed. That was the point. You didn't survive to stay the same. You didn't fight through all that darkness just to return to the shade. You were born to shine, and sometimes shining means standing alone. Sometimes it means becoming the villain in someone else's story just to become the hero in your own. But solitude is not always sadness. It is sometimes sacred space. The cocoon is lonely, but it is holy. It is where wings grow. It is where vision clears. It is where voices that once echoed around you fade, so the one voice within you finally roars. That is the voice that will guide you now. Not the critics, not the doubters, not the fearful ones who confuse control with care. Listen to the voice that's always known your name, the one that whispered purpose in your soul before anyone else saw your potential. That voice will tell you there's more, not just more things, but more of you, more depth, more boldness, more light. And to access that version of you, you must be willing to disappoint some people. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. You cannot betray your destiny to maintain someone else's comfort. You cannot dilute your essence to meet someone at a shallow depth. You are not responsible for shrinking yourself to fit into the spaces that could not hold the fullness of your future. And as painful as it is, you must learn this sacred truth. Sometimes love leaves. Sometimes loyalty ends. Sometimes people you would have burned for will watch you drown. And when that moment comes, let it not break you. Let it awaken you. Let it remind you that the foundation of your life must be built on something deeper than approval, something stronger than applause. Because applause fades, trends fade, people fade, but purpose, true purpose, and purpose will carry you through deserts where no one claps. Purpose will feed you when affirmation runs dry. Purpose will protect your soul from begging for belonging where you were never called to be. So build your life on that, on what's unshakable, on what doesn't flinch in the face of rejection. Because once you do, you will stop chasing places where you don't fit and start walking boldly into rooms that were built with your name. And don't let the silence of this season confuse you. Just because no one is cheering doesn't mean you're not winning. Just because they don't see it doesn't mean it's not sacred. Some of your most powerful moments will happen in the shadows. Some of your deepest healing will happen in silence. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will happen when no one else understands the cost you paid just to keep. So if you're walking alone, walk anyway. If they left without warning, release them anyway. If your name became the subject of rumors, rise anyway. You are not here to convince them. You are here to complete the mission. Your calling is not a committee decision, and their comfort is not your comfort. Look ahead. What's coming is too big to be delayed by what's behind. There are rooms waiting for your voice, hearts waiting for your wisdom, lives waiting for your legacy, but they cannot experience the fullness of what you carry if you keep choosing familiarity over freedom. It's time to stop trying to revive what God has released. It's time to stop placing bandages on things meant to be buried. It's time to stop chasing those who made it clear they were not meant to walk with you. Honor them, bless them, but let them go. Because not everyone can go where you're going requires a different rhythm, a deeper root, a clearer mind, a purer heart. Where you're going demands that you stop shrinking to be palatable, that you stop waiting to be invited when you were always meant to host, that you stop asking for validation when you were born with vision, that you stop trying to be liked when you were born to lead. You are being positioned for something extraordinary. And extraordinary lives do not follow ordinary paths. You may feel like you're losing everything, but in truth, you're shedding the layers that were never yours to begin with. You're not being emptied, you're being cleared for something more, something divine, something. And one day when the vision manifests and the tears make sense and the silence turns to song, you'll look back with grace, not bitterness. You'll understand that those who left weren't bad people, they were just not meant for your next. You'll thank the lonely nights for teaching you how to hear your own voice. You'll honor the rejections that rerouted your path. You'll find peace not just in the destination, but in the fact that you never gave up. So rise with your wounds, with your wisdom, with your wonder. Take up space, not arrogantly, but authentically, not to be seen, but to be true, because you've paid for this version of yourself. You've earned every scar, every shift, every revelation. Walk in it, own it, breathe. Because the ones who are meant to walk with you in this next season, they will not need to be convinced. They will recognize you. They will see the fire in your eyes and remember their own. They will not compete with your light. They will reflect it. They will not diminish your dream. They will defend it. You won't have to beg them to stay. They'll be there because they belong. That is the gift of elevation. It reveals who's for you and who was just around you. And that revelation is not loss. It's liberation. It's the peeling away of what was never real so you can finally build on what is. And now, with eyes wide open and spirit fully awake, you know the truth. Not everyone can go where you're going. And that's the very reason you must go. When the winds of destiny begin to blow, they do not whisper gently to the trees. They come with force, with clarity, with disruption. They do not ask if you're ready. They do not seek your comfort. They come to uproot what has kept you planted in the soil of smallness. And the more you resist the wind, the more exhausted you become. But once you learn to lean into it, to trust it, you will find it is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to carry you. Not everyone is willing to be carried, and not everyone is willing to go with the wind. The truth is, people get attached to the old version of you, the one who used to overextend, the one who tolerated less, the one who stayed quiet just to keep the peace. And when you begin to evolve, when your boundaries grow stronger and your vision becomes clearer, they'll say you've changed, as if that's a flaw, as if growth should apologize for arriving. You don't need to defend your growth to those who are committed to misunderstanding it. They were never going to applaud your wings anyway. They only loved you when you fit the narrative they had written for you. And you know what hurts the most? When the people you thought would celebrate your rising become the ones who resent it. They don't say it outright, but their silence speaks. Their distance grows, their energy shifts, and slowly you realize they were only close to the version of you that served their comfort. But elevation has a way of revealing intentions. You start to see who was truly with you and who was just with the convenience of you. And that realization, though painful, becomes the greatest freedom. Because when you finally stop fighting for space in rooms that make you feel small, something miraculous happens. You remember your worth, not the kind you earned, but the kind that was stamped on your soul long before anyone had the chance to reject or approve you. You stop measuring your value by who stays and start measuring it by how authentically you walk in your purpose. You realize that your calling is not up for debate. It is not fragile. It does not bend for the insecurities of others. Your calling is rooted in eternity. And anything rooted in eternity cannot be threatened by temporary absence. Yes, you will grieve. Growth requires a death. The death of who you used to be. The death of attachments you once called love. The death of dreams that were too small for the soul you're becoming. But from that grief, a new power is born. One that is grounded in grace. One that rises not in pride, but in clarity. You begin to see through the fog of performance and into the truth of purpose. You no longer need everyone to walk with you. You just need alignment. You need truth. You need presence. You begin to hunger for what is real, not loud, deep, not wide. You become intentional with your energy, no longer casting your pearls before those who cannot recognize their beauty. And though the circle may grow smaller, the connection becomes stronger. Because now you're surrounded by those who see you, not just your gifts, who honor your scars, not just your success, who protect your peace, not just your platform. And isn't that what you've longed for all along? To be known and still loved, to be seen and still safe, to be free without guilt? That is what awaits you when you finally surrender to the truth. Not everyone can go where you're going, and they don't have to. Because where you're going is not a reward for popularity, it's a response to obedience. You didn't earn this next level through applause. You were entrusted with it through fire. You bled for this. You sacrificed for this. You prayed for this. So don't you dare abandon it just to keep people comfortable. You are not hard to love. You are just no longer willing to be unloved in the name of being liked. You are not selfish. You are simply done setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not too much. You are just more than some people are used to. And that's okay. Let them go. Bless them. Honor what was. But do not delay your destiny trying to resuscitate what God has already buried. This season is about movement. It's about momentum. It's about finally stepping into what has been calling your name for years. And it won't be perfect. You will make mistakes. You will doubt. You will cry. But you will not quit. Because this time, your faith is stronger than your fear. Your clarity is louder than your confusion. Your hope is deeper than your heart. And every step you take, though it may feel lonely, echoes through the corridors of heaven. You are not alone. There is a divine orchestration behind every closed door, every goodbye, every season of silence. You are being guided, protected, positioned. And though it feels like loss, it is actually alignment. The pruning is proof that fruit is coming. The breaking is proof that new wine is being made. The stretching is proof that greater capacity is being formed in you. So walk forward, even if your knees tremble, even if your heart is unsure, even if your voice shakes. Walk forward knowing that what's behind you cannot compare to what's ahead. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not falling apart. You are falling into place. This is not the end. It's the unfolding. And one day you'll look back and understand. You'll see that the path was not a straight line, but a masterpiece. That every detour carried divine direction, that every heartbreak cracked open a deeper well of empathy and grace, that every rejection became redirection, that every silence was sacred preparation. And you'll thank the process, even the pain, for birthing a version of you that could never be shaken again. Because when you arrive in the place meant for you, surrounded by those who love the fullness of you, walking in a peace that no applause could purchase, you'll whisper to yourself, not in regret, but in reverence, I understand now. Not everyone could go where I was going, because it was never just about me. It was about who I would become. It was about who I would impact. It was about the legacy I would leave. It was about being true to the voice that had whispered purpose to me before the noise of the world ever spoke. So go, not because they left, but because you're called. Go, not because you're bitter, but because you're better. Go, not because you need to prove anything, but because you've already been approved. Go, because destiny waits for no one. Go, because your time is. And if you walk alone, walk proud, walk tall, walk grateful, because when you finally become who you were always meant to be, the right people will catch up, but only if you go, because not everyone can go where you're going. And now, as you stand at the threshold of your next chapter, remember this: your journey is sacred. Every step, every scar, every silent prayer has brought you here, not by chance, but by divine design. Let go of the weight that was never yours to carry. Release the people who cannot see the magnitude of where you're going. Bless them for their part in your story, but do not shrink to keep their comfort intact. You are not abandoning them. You are answering a higher call, and in answering that call, you give others the courage to do the same. Walk forward with grace in your spirit and fire in your bones. Let your heart remain soft, even as your feet grow firm. The road ahead may not be easy, but it is yours. And what's waiting for you on the other side is greater than anything you've ever had to leave behind. So lift your head, square your shoulders, and go boldly. Not everyone can go where you're going, and that's the beauty of it, because where you're going was crafted for you alone. And the moment you arrive, you'll know it was always worth the journey.